Hello everyone. I hope you guys are doing great. I'm just going to give it a couple of minutes for people to find me. We're going to be working with paper blooms today and also Heal Your Heart. Both are free items with Sale-a-bration. And I've created some really cute cards that uses also product from the annual catalog. So we'll be getting started in just a second. And give me a shout out of where you're watching from. That would be great. Love to know where my audience is. So last night I was live on my Facebook page and we created two cards and a mini pizza box. I'll just go over those quickly so you can see what I made. And those used, let's see, I gotta remember the stamp set, lots of heart. Many hearts, dies, and lots of hearts. So let me just show you those two. So last night I used lots of hearts here. It's a photopolymer stamp set. It's in the mini catalog, the January to June catalog. Fun Valentine's Day, sentiments, and a great stamp set, just not for Valentine's Day as well. See, because just a little note is great. And if you're a craft fair person, that's a great one to add to, like, I make these mini 3x3 post-it note holders, and that could be a great little sentiment on those. So I used that stamp set last night, and I used the many hearts dies. This is not all of them. I have the other ones on a magnetic sheet that you'll see here. So last night I created this really fun card. Uses a very delightful designer series paper, and I showcased how you can split up a stamp. If you notice here, it's got two lines, but I showed how you can stamp one line and then use the classic label punch, or I used the classic label punch to cut that one out, but then I stamped a single sentiment across there. So I taught stampers how to do that. So that's a really fun card. Here's another one, and it's called You're All Heart. This one is going to be sent to my grandson. So that's a fun layering. I love the little heart here. So what I did with the heart here, I embossed some white paper, cardstock, and I'm using Whisper White, you guys, just because I still have about 2 more reams left to go through, and then I'll be using the basic white. But there's really not a lot of difference in the paper. So so I use the classic label punch again here for the sentiment, and then the dies. And then I just kind of layer them on top of each other. Lots of layers here. So you've got your card base. So that's 1, 2, that's white, granny apple green, and the pattern paper, Poppy Parade, Flirty Flamingo, white and white. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 layers, plus 1 on the inside, which makes it 9-layer card. And then I finished it off with some of the red rhinestones from the annual catalog. So I mixed and matched the products in the catalog. So that's that one. And then I created a box. So let me just show you the box. I've got it up on my shelf here. Ooh. So, and I kind of have it apart because on the inside, I went to the Dollar Tree and I found these really nice candles that have like a raspberry scent. So with the Berry Delightful paper, it does have some raspberries in it. So I thought that would be kind of a great idea. But I did design the mini pizza boxes with a belly band. So these are sold in our annual catalog, and they come 10. And I created a nice belly band on it. And then the other one, I just did an opposite of the belly band. And actually, no, I didn't. I did the card so we can see the difference between a background Poppy Parade heart versus the white, and then reverse on that lacy heart. So we can kind of see the difference. And also with this one here, I mounted it on some Poppy Parade and fussy cut, first a sentiment, and then layered that onto Poppy Parade and fussy cut that out too, so you just have this little border around it. So anyway, that's what I did last night. And I'll just put one of these belly bands on the box so you can kind of see it all done. Just to slide this, the one with all the chocolate in it is going to my grandson, and it's really jammed full. So let me just show you. So here's the box, and then my cards. So they all look really nice together, and it's a really nice stamp set and die set. So that is that. And then for today, we're going to be working with Heal Your Heart and the Paper Blooms Designer Series paper. So we're going to get started creating those cards. Let me just clean up my area here. And then just some reminders. So let's see, what did I have for reminders for today? My ordering special for the month of January, so January 1st to 31st. I already have some customers that have already qualified for the free package of the Black Stampin Dimensionals. And what's great about these is they're great to be used on dark paper. And also you get a mix of the regular size dimensionals and the minis. So that's a really nice package here, and it's got quite a few in there. So it's a full pack. That's my customer. Thank you for January. And then just a reminder, I have I have 5 new team members, which is awesome, that joined by Inspired Daisy's team. So it's a great time to join Stampin' Up. And what's great about it is you get some awesome free paper. So you can get all that information on my website, inspiredbygram.com. And then I think that's it. So let's go over the cards we're going to be making today. Very simple cards. But I don't know, I just really liked how they all came out. So I went with the 5/8 of an inch organdy striped ribbon. One, because it's what I had in stock, and this is the metallic ribbon that is new in the mini catalog. So on the one side it's gold, and it's like kind of scratchy, and on the other side it's just like I think it's Blushing Bride or Petal Pink, one or the other. And I didn't have it in time, so I went with the organdy ribbon, and I like how you can see through the ribbon and you can see the pretty paper underneath. So I think that's a really nice added touch. I used the metallic pearls. They come in gold and silver, so those are from the annual catalog as well. And then if you can see, the white is embossed with tasteful textures. And then I finished off the envelope simply with the Designer Series paper blooms to match. Okay, and I'll show you how to do that as well. So that's card number 1 that we'll be making. Card number 2 uses the Stitch So Sweetly dies. Again, the organdy ribbon, and I used the silver pearls. And then on the inside, we're going to take that piece here that we cut out and layer it on the inside for a nice frame. And then card number 3 uses Rococo Rose and Tasteful Textures dies, Tasteful Labels, excuse me. And I use the gold. And this is kind of a fun fold. And on the inside, I use the Stitch So Sweetly die for your message area, and brought in some of that Designer Series paper called Paper Blooms. And then the final card we're going to be making is kind of a flat fold card, so it doesn't stand up. And I guess it stands up at a, if you kind of put it this way, but it's got a flat background, and then it opens up, and you can see I left a Stampin' Dimensional in there because it was really hard to photograph, and I had to stick that shut, so that's why that's in there. And a cute little bow made with my bow maker, because I literally cannot make bows. And I use this silver metallic pearls too. And here's some versatility of the paper. So I didn't have any of this left, or I had some scraps left, so I wanted to use up the scraps, and I just simply added it onto the envelope flap, and it all looks really nice together. So you can mix and match your Designer Series paper very easily. And I think, did I show you all the cards? I think I did. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to get started. This is the Paper Blooms Designer Series paper. Again, it is free with a $50 product order. It's a level 1 free gift. It's beautiful paper, uses Night of Navy, Old Olive, Petal Pink, Rococo Rose, Seaside Spray, and Soft Sea Foam. All my favorite colors, especially the soft sea foam. And then the other free product is Heal Your Heart. It's a great sentiment stamp set. You can see all the nice cursive writings and also just regular straight writing as well. So again, this is free and Sale-a-bration for a $50 product order. So if you put in a $100 product order, you can get both of these items here for free during Sale-a-bration. All right, so that is that. Let me just move over. I have all of my stamps already mounted. My labels are on here, so I'm using one C block, and all the rest of them are D blocks. D blocks are the most used in my craft room, and I can angle them as well, the stamps. So let me put those all off to the side. And then here are my metallic pearls. Again, I keep them in my clear case. Again, they're in gold and silver. And then my stamp sets, or my ink pads, excuse me, Night of Navy and Old Olive. All right, so let's try to get started here. So we got this one. I've got all my sizes here written on a scrap paper here. But this one has a lot of layers in it. So we've got, yeah, there's a lot of layers in this one. Okay, let me see. I gotta make sure I have everything with me. I don't think I got my, we're gonna do die cutting as well, so I gotta grab some scrap paper. Okay, so we're gonna, I think it's gonna be easiest just to kind of assemble some of this card first, just to get the layers out of the way. Actually, you know what? Sorry, we're gonna die cut and stamp. All right, so we're gonna stamp. We're in this together. All right. So I've got my scrap white. Again, I'm using Whisper White because it's what I have, and I want to use that up before I start purchasing the basic white. So we're in this together. Just gonna stamp that right down. I'm using Old Olive ink. And then we're going to bring in my die sets here. So I'm using Stitch So Sweetly, and I'm also using Tasteful Labels. So we're going to use this one right here. I'm going to use the mini cut and emboss. I used this one last night, and it did a great job cutting out all of those intricate heart dies. So this just opens up like this. It works very similar to the regular Stampin' Cut emboss. I've got number 1, which is your platform, and I've got number 2, which is your acrylic plate. I've got my cardstock. I got my die. And then I've got my acrylic plate. I'm going to slide in there very carefully. And then I'm going to just push it in a little bit. I've got to rotate it for me because it's a little bit hard to do this on camera. So I'm just going to put that, crank it all the way through. And then we've got our nice little die cut. Okay, it looks like that. And on this one, it's got this little embossed edge all the way around. All right, so we are done with this. Put that off to the side. And we'll bring our card in again. Okay. So I've got some old olive cardstock. There's so many layers in this one. I probably should not have started with this card. Okay. So here is our white, again, Whisper White, and this is cut 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. We're just gonna layer that right on top of that old olive. I'm using my Stampin' Seal. Just gonna add this around the outside. Oops. And then we're gonna layer this right on the front of the card so that it's equal on all 4 sides. And then I've got some of that Paper Blooms Designer Series paper. We're gonna add this piece right here in the middle just to break it up. I don't know, even you can hardly even see it underneath, but it is there. So we're gonna layer that. That piece is 1 inch by 5/8 of an inch. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna add 1 layer or 1 line of adhesive down the middle. I'm just gonna eyeball the center of this one. Okay, so that's good. And now we need to take our 3 layers here that make this panel system here. So we've got our Paper Blooms, we've got our Whisper White, and we've got Soft Seafoam. And all those colors are in that Designer Series paper. I'm gonna grab a silicone craft sheet because I forgot to bring it over here. I love working with this. Okay, so we're just gonna add the Paper Blooms. This piece is cut 3 by 4. And this white panel is 1/8 of an inch bigger, so 3 1/8 by 4 1/8. I just wanted a small little hint of white popping through. And then we're gonna layer this panel onto Soft Seafoam, which is 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. And again, that gives you just about 1/8 of an inch border. So we can see, hopefully you can see, I'm not sure if you can see or not. I am working on my lighting, you guys. So I just purchased one of those ring lights. So I'm hoping that will help my lighting in my craft room, especially in the morning time because the sun is not on this side of my house. So it's a little, I get lots of shades, and especially at night as well. All right, so then we're gonna add this piece on. So before I add it on, I always like to rotate it to see which direction I'm gonna like best, knowing that this is eventually gonna go on here with the ribbon. So I'm just gonna do a little bit of examples here. And I think I like it this way because of this flower here. Just, that's my personal opinion. And I'm gonna go with it, all right? So we're just gonna add our adhesive. I'm gonna add it on all 4 sides. And then we're just gonna layer this right down in the middle. And I think I put that, the one underneath there a little bit crooked, but that's okay. All right, so that is there. Now we're gonna use that ribbon. Now this is the 5/8 of an inch organdy striped ribbon. It comes 10 yards to the bolt, so lots and lots of ribbon. The color is Petal Pink and it's $8. And if you're a demonstrator, of course, you get your either 20 or your 25% discount on top of that. So for me, of course, I'm a demonstrator and I'm a silver level, so I get 25% discount. So that really all adds up. All right, so I used way too much ribbon, so I'm gonna just pull this over here just a little bit. So what I did was I wrapped around the ribbon so we can see it on the inside as well. Okay, you can see the old olive through that ribbon. And we're going to tie a knot. And let me extend this ribbon out a little bit. So we're gonna try a bow. And sorry if you, right before I started my live, my husband decided he was going to plow the yard with our four-wheeler. So I'm sure you probably heard that, but I think he just finished up. So all week we've been getting like 1 to 2, 3 inches of really fluffy snow, and it's all added up. So we need to clear up the yard, just because we have a somewhat of a steep driveway coming up, and Mr. UPS all week has decided not to make it up our driveway, just because it's too slick in the wintertime. So we live on a private drive and with 5 other people, and all of our packages yesterday were left at our mailbox. So thankfully nobody took them, especially my Stampin' Up! Product, that's for sure. I needed that for my card club that I'm organizing this weekend. So I know, so this is a little crooked, but that's okay. We'll kind of try to fix it. So my goal is to keep this ribbon in the center of that 1-inch panel there that's going across. To do that, I'm gonna put a glue dot underneath that knot just so that it will stay secure. I'm gonna grab my take your pick tool. I've got my glue dots here. I'm just gonna wrap it around the pointy end and peel that off. And I'm just gonna slide it right underneath that knot, push down and release. Now I know that ribbon is gonna stay put there. I could also put another one under here, but I don't think it's necessary. Now we're gonna take that sentiment label here. All right, we need to pop it up just because you need to give it some dimension. You need to lift it up so it's a little bit more prominent. And to do that, I've got my Stampin' Dimensionals. I'm gonna add 4. And I'm gonna add them to the corners. I'm not gonna add any in the middle there because that's where the ribbon will be going underneath. Then I'm just gonna use my thumbnail to give those a good press in the middle, and that way they just kind of peel up really easy. And we'll just throw those on the floor because I'll get my vacuum cleaner out later. Just easier that way. Now we're gonna slide this over and I'm gonna tuck it underneath. And then I'm just gonna press where those dimensionals are. The inside panel, this is also cut 3 7/8 by 5. And I do that because especially when I'm teaching a class, so my customers don't get mixed up, because normally I cut them 4 by 5 1/4, so a little bit bigger than this one. That way they don't get mixed up with their sizes and accidentally put the wrong one on the front of the card and vice versa. So I've got, bring that silicone craft sheet in again. This piece here is 3/4 of an inch by 5 1/8. Just gonna add that adhesive. Before I layer it down, I'm just gonna kind of take a look at the paper to see which way I like it. I'm gonna go with this way. And I always like to leave a little bit of whisper white or basic white on the bottom. Now I did cut this a little bit too long, so I'm just gonna take my paper snips and trim it off. That we have a flush edge on the right side. And then we'll just add some more adhesive to the top. I just use 1 layer. And let's bring our card back in. And we're just gonna center this right on the inside. And then our final touch are those metallic pearls. And then I've got my take your pick tool here. I'm gonna use the putty side. And that's, you can see the putty right there. And what that does is I can grab them so they stick to the end of the tool, and then I can just place them easier onto the card. Just like that. Now if I wanted to, I could add a few more. Just put them out on the outer side of the designer series paper. And again, that's called Paper Blooms. And it's free with a $50 product order. Okay, so that is card number 1. We need to finish the envelope though. Totally almost forgot that. So let me show you how to cover your envelope flap. You'll need a scrap piece of the designer series paper. And this is great when this silicone craft sheet comes in handy on this step. So what I like to do is open up that flap and run my adhesive all the way around the edge against the score line of the flap, down here, and just a little bit in the middle there. Then I just kind of look at the designer series paper to see what direction I really want it to go. And then I'm going to line it up against that fold line and give it a nice press. What I do to cut it off is I use these like scrap scissors. I don't care that it gets like adhesive on them. And then I just trim around the envelope flap. Just like that. See, these are all sticky. I got to clean them off. I clean my scissors with rubbing alcohol and hand sanitizer, and that works really well. All right, so there's our nice envelope flap. And here's our card. And here's the first one sample I made. So really cute, fun card. Of course, this card is going to cost extra to mail just because of the bulk on it. But I think it's worth sending, right? It's beautiful. All right. If you got any questions, let me know. I don't see any comments in the comment section, so let me actually go over to my laptop and add a comment. Not sure why they're not coming through, so hold on just a second. Okay. All right, if someone could chat, that would be great, just so I know that, okay, Lee just chatted, perfect. Okay, so at least I know the comments are working. All right, so that is card number 1. And card number 2 is going to be this one. We're going to use a die cutting machine again. You can see how the envelope flap looks really nice. This is basically a 2-layer card, the card's base and the designer series paper. And there's the inside of what that looks like. So we're going to die cut first, just because that machine's fairly large. These dies, because the paper's bigger than, I have to use the bigger machine because the paper I've cut, which is 4 by it's 3, and let me just double check because I'm questioning myself. 3 7/8. So 3 7/8 by 5 1/8 is too wide for the mini cut and emboss, so we've got to use the other embossing machine. But I wanted to show you how to do this step. Some of you may or may not know, so let me grab my machine. And I added new acrylic plates to my machine. So this is huge in the camera, I know it is. And what I have is, we all know that Stampin' Up! Had an issue with the magnetic plate that was an add-on. So I sent mine back and got my product credit. The magnetic plate with the Big Shot machine, if you have it, works with the cut and emboss machine. So I've been using mine. I'm using the new acrylic plates from Stampin' Up! That go with the cut and emboss machine. That's number 3. I'm going to add the paper blooms. Again, that's 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. And now I've got 2 of the dies. These are from Stitch So Sweetly. I'm going to center this one on first. You might hear my husband whistling now. He's back in the house. He loves to whistle, so that makes it, when he whistles, I know he's happy, so, and that's all good. All right, so now I'm gonna add these, the smaller die, inside the larger one. I'm just kind of looking all the way around the rectangle to make sure it's distributed equally. Now, if you don't have the magnetic plate, what I would do is I would add some washi tape, just a small piece of washi tape, oh, bigger than that, but on top of there so your dies will stay straight. But since I'm using that magnetic plate, I don't have to worry about it. I'm going to add the other clear acrylic plate, number 3, and we're going to crank it through. I've got to move it a little bit because I just hit my Acron mount. Hopefully that it didn't make you dizzy. Okay, just wanted to go really slow through there because I didn't want to hit that mount again. All right, so let me just take this off, and we're going to remove this right from my craft table and just put it on the floor for now. All right, so now we're going to take a look at this. So this will come out. There's our little frame. And then we've got a little frame that was created when we put those two together. And this one has the stitching on it. I really have no idea if you can see it or not, but there's stitching in between the scallops. And then we've got this one that has the scallops and the stitching on it. Okay, it's really important that you pay attention to your designer series when we add this to the card front. So we're all done with these. I'm just going to put these right back on my magnetic sheets. If you're wondering where I get my magnetic sheets from, I purchased them from Stampin' Storage. And I love them because they're so durable. They're very, they're mounted on this cardboard, like chipboard, and the magnets are really, really strong. As you can see, it's hard to push them. You can purchase some magnetic sheets like at Walmart. They're not as good. That's what I started with. I've transferred all my dies over to here and I just label them, so it's so much easier for me. Okay, so let's grab my kit. Oh, you know what? We're gonna have to die cut. I made this class like almost a week ago, and I totally did not remember what I was supposed to be die cutting and not. So we'll grab the mini. So actually, I'm sorry. We're gonna do that right now. And I apologize. I'm totally all over the place today. All right, we're gonna be using Thank You. And again, we're using Old Olive ink. I'm just gonna cut this down. Be easier when we die cut it. I'm just gonna stamp this just like that. And I'm gonna grab my mini again. Slide this right in there. Let me grab my Stitch So Sweetly die. I'm gonna use this one here. This fits perfectly on the die. Now this machine, I do not have the magnetic plate for it. So you could put washi tape on that, but I'm feeling confident that I'm gonna have it pretty good and straight. So let me just rotate this. For me, it's so much easier. Okay. When you're filming, there's not a lot of space to work with, you guys. So if you're not familiar with how this all works, it's about a 12 by 12 space. All right, so there we go. Okay, so there's our die with our sentiment. Okay, so now we're going to assemble the card. I think we have everything ready to go. Again, this is Whisper White, 8.5 by 5.5, and I've scored it at 4 1/4. We're going to take this die cut panel and add it right here. And I want my silicone craft sheet. So when you're doing, this is a really pretty side too. So when you're adding your adhesive, you just kind of have to be a little bit careful because it's more of a thin panel, and we all know designer series paper is thinner than cardstock. So just take your time adding the adhesive around the frame. You could use multi-purpose liquid glue as well. All right, so now you have to be careful with your design, because when you put this down, you got to make sure your other panel is going to be going in the correct direction. So I'm just going to layer this right down. I'm going slow because the Stampin' Seal is very sticky and I will not have time to remove it from the panel. So I'm just going real slow. Okay, now this piece here is going to get added, and you can see where it was like, this was the piece. So it's kind of like a puzzle. You could, so I mounted mine on right onto the cardstock. If you wanted to, you could pop that up if you really wanted to give it a little bit more dimension. And I think I'm going to do that with this one just so that you can see the difference. And you might want to give it a try as well. And what I would do is I would definitely add 5 dimensionals, just because you need some support in the middle. Okay, so I've just pressed down in the center of those dimensionals, the backings. I wish they would actually magically just come off, like say, you know, just somehow come off so we don't have to peel them and then find them all over. I found one actually traveled with me all the way to work this week. Crazy. All right, so now I'm just adding this on the front of your card. And there's a little bit more dimension. Okay, now we're going to take that ribbon again. This is the Organdy ribbon, Petal Pink. It's in the annual catalog. And I'm going to wrap it around on the inside of the card so we see the ribbon when we open up the card. And I'm right-handed, so I always start with the bolt of ribbon on my right side and then bring it over. And now we're just going to tie a bow. So I just wrapped it around, and then I use my middle finger to secure it. Some people use tweezers. They have these special like tweezers. I cannot find them anywhere around where I live. I suppose if I went on Amazon or something like that, I might be able to find them, but I just kind of go with the flow. And if I really struggle, I would do a knot bow. I think I'm gonna get it. Okay, so now we're just gonna fuss with it a little bit because I want to downsize those loops. So I'm just grabbing onto the knot there and pinching it. And just fuss with it a little bit more. Okay. And then when you're cutting your ribbon, make sure you have some ribbon scissors handy in your craft room. Okay, I mark mine with some ribbon. I only use them with ribbon. And now you're just going to slide this over to where you want it. It all depends on what die you use. This one's very large. So I'm kind of hoping to get this piece into the center of that rectangle. So I just need to move this knot, this bow over just about 1/4 of an inch So it kind of lines up in the middle of those two pieces. Okay, and before I add the sentiment here, I'm going to just make sure that that ribbon is where I want it to be. Again, you could put a glue dot underneath that knot if you wanted to. I'm not going to, because I think it's pretty good. Going to add some more dimensionals. I'm going to add 4 of them. And this will give it lots of strength. And again, just press those centers. I hope you guys are doing well. It's a very cold day here in Vermont, so all weekend it's going to be in the single digits with wind chill, and tonight it's supposed to be like below 0 wind chill. I really wanted to go hiking this weekend. I love winter hiking, but I have not been yet this year. So pandemic has me staying at home and not being able to hike. I love to hike over in New Hampshire because it's so close to where I live in the White Mountains, and I haven't done any this year. So hopefully we'll be able to get back over there soon. All right, so that's looking really good. I actually love the dimension that just by adding the dimensionals, you can see here, this one's popped up, this one is not. This one is my favorite. So now we're going to take that frame, and for this step, I would use your multi-purpose liquid glue and just run it along the paper. Just a very thin line is all you need. Make sure you put your cap on. I store mine with the pointy side down. And we're going to open up that card. This is where you can get a little sticky. Also, what I'm doing is I'm trying to remember on the front of where this paper is going to look. So this is the inside that we cut out. So I want to make sure that this is pointing down. So we're just going to layer this on. And then I'm just going to use my fingertips to give it a good press. And the multi-purpose liquid glue kind of like dries instantly. Okay, so that's the inside of the card. And then the final touch, we're going to add silver metallic pearls to this one. Okay, you can see I've used a lot more gold ones than silver. And we're going to add them. I'm going to add 5. Just basically wherever I want to add them. Let's add one right over there. Okay. Then we've got our envelope flap to decorate. These are basic white envelopes. I forgot to mention that earlier when we created card number 1. I ran out of all the whisper white ones, so now I've transferred over to basic white. To me, they feel almost exact as the whisper whites. I'm just adding my adhesive around the edge and just a little bit in the middle. Then we're going to take some of that paper blooms. I line mine up right at the top, and then I just line it right up against that score line on the envelope flap. Give it a really good press because we want that to stick. And we're going to flip it over. Again, I use scissors that I don't really care that get adhesive on them. And we're just going to trim that flap all the way around. All right, so that's that. We're going to recycle that piece. All right, so here's our card, our envelope, and our card. And again, this one has got the dimensionals on it underneath it, and I think it looks, for me, it looks a lot better. than this one. This one's kind of gets lost, if you ask me. You can tell me what you guys like, the first one or the second one. And here's our matching envelope. All right, so you got 30 seconds to meet me back. Go get your drink, use the restroom, whatever you need to do. Well, I transitioned to card number 3, and card number 3 is going to be using Rococo Rose, okay? This is the one we're going to be making. All right. And I'm also going to be mix and matching some of the designer series paper. And I've done all the die cutting for this card, so that's great. This one will go together really, really simple. Okay, so we're going to take a look at the card once again. Here's our Tasteful Labels die that I've already die cut using Rococo Rose. I stamped with the old olive. And there's our ribbon here. This flap here is glued down. And then on the inside. Okay, so what you want to do is you're going to start out with some Rococo Rose cardstock for your card base. This is cut 8.5 by 5.5, and it's pre-scored at 5 or 4 1/4, and then I scored it again at 1 1/4 inches in. Okay, and what you want to do is you want to fold this over to the inside, and then just use your bone folder to give it a nice burnish so it lays down flat. Okay, you could also make this card going this direction too. The only thing is it would not be able to stand up. All right, so that's that step. This piece here, this is Paper Blooms. This is cut 2 3/4 by 5 1/4, and we're going to simply add it to this piece right here. And you can use whatever side you want to use. Of course, I'm going with the flower side. And I'm just going to add 2 lines of adhesive. And then before I layer it down, I'm going to look at the direction of the images on the paper to see which way I like better. And I'm going with this direction. And this just gets right in the middle of that section. Okay, and then the next step is adding some more of the designer series paper. And what I'm going to do with this one, I'm going to change it up a little bit. These are cut 1 by 5 1/4, and you need 2 pieces, identical size. And one is going to go here, and one is going to go here. So this card, I'm just basically going to do it opposite so you can see what it looks like in this, this banner. So again, I'm just going to take my adhesive, 1 line of adhesive. We're going to add it to this section here. Again, this area is 1 1/4 inches. And then this piece of the Paper Blooms is 1 by 5 1/4. And then again, the same size. This card will go together really quickly. We're going to add this one here. And then here's the Stitch So Sweetly die. I thought that would be kind of fun to put on the inside of your card. Lots of us, you know, struggle with what we want to say, especially if it's a sympathy card. So we're just going to add this small little die cut for a very small image to write on. Let's do some stamping. This is a Rococo Rose, and I used this die here from Tasteful Labels. You guys know I use that one a lot. I've got Wishing I Could Heal Your Heart mounted on a D block, and I'm just going to stamp that right down. All right, and that's going to go right here. First, what I want to do is I want to add my ribbon because it'll be easier that way. before I do that, I'm going to adhere this down. So I'm just going to simply take my adhesive and then fold it down. That way now it's flush to the card and staying put, and it's out of your way. Okay. I'm going to go back through the comments because for me, I can't really, I want to focus on my projects and not answer comments. So at the end, I'll go real quick and try to answer any of the questions that you guys might have. All right, so again, I added this ribbon here to the inside, making sure it was flat. Flip it over. And then we're going to tie a bow together. Okay, get that where I want it to go. All right, so now I've got my T. I'm going to use my middle finger to secure it. And then just struggle until I get it. Hopefully I'll get it on the first try. That would be like super sweet. All right, not too bad. All right, so now let's fuss with the loops. Okay, that's good. Again, take your ribbon scissors and cut these off at an angle. And I'm just going to trim up this one. It's just a little bit too long for my liking. Now I'm going to slide the ribbon up a little bit so it's kind of in the center of this card here and in the center of that panel. Now this is the tricky part. So I don't want to put adhesive going this way because if you do, you're gonna, when the person opens up this card, they're gonna see that adhesive here and you don't want that to happen. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna eyeball it. And I know in the center of this label is where I want my adhesive. So I'm just going to add it right to the center. And then I'm bringing this in. And I'm looking where the knot is and where the center of that curved shape is. And we're just going to add it, press it right there, and that's stuck on really nicely. I'm going to add a glue dot underneath that knot because I don't like how that is as loose. So again, we're going to take your pick tool. Love this tool. I'm just going to roll it around on that sharp pointy tip. Slide that under, press the knot, and release. And now that's going to stick and it's not going to move around. And we're almost done with the card. Getting there. We're going to use the take your pick tool again. You guys can see I use this a lot. And I'm just going to add 5 gold metallic pearls kind of throughout the card. Odd numbers are more pleasing to the eye. That's 3, 4, and let's add one. Let's just add one right in that white area. So 5. And now we're going to take some designer series paper. This is a scrap piece because I ran out of the white that matches. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this side on my envelope flap. It's got the Rococo rose in it and there's little flowers, so it does coordinate really nicely. Again, let's grab our silicone craft sheet, open up our flap, and just add our adhesive right along that score line, around the edge, and a little bit in the middle. Grab your piece of designer series paper and line it up with the score line. And I know we all have a problem, right, cutting into designer series paper, but if we don't cut into it, other people that you send your cards to won't be able to enjoy the paper like we do. So I'm going to challenge you to cut your designer series paper and add it to your envelope flaps. It just adds a really nice touch. So I'm just gonna go right around the corner there and finish it off. Okay, so that looks really sweet. So there's our envelope flap. Here's the card we just made together. And then here's one that I made earlier with a different envelope flap. Okay, so that looks really nice. This one doesn't have the glue dot on it, but I'll fix that later. And of course the inside. So you see the petal pink ribbon and the nice stitch Suili die with some more of that designer series paper. And you can see how these are a little bit different just by changing your designer series paper. So I don't know which one I like. I kind of like them both. So you guys can tell me one or number two. Okay, so that's this one. That's card number 3. We have one more to go. That's kind of a fun fold card. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to leave this one right here. I'm going to go to my laptop and check and see if I've got any questions for you guys. Let's see. Okay, it doesn't look like there's any questions, which is great. But if you do have any questions, let me know. I'd be happy to answer them. And I see some familiar faces, some people that belong to my team and also belong to my monthly card club are watching me too. So you card club participants, I'm working hard. It won't ship today, it's gonna ship on Monday. But I thought it would be like 2 days ahead of schedule, but I just have too much going on to do it. I love to package really nicely and I always like to do that. So it's just gonna go out on Monday. Okay, so this is really fun card. It's one I designed here. And again, this Stampin' Dimensional is on here because of photography, but it'll come off. I have this, let me show you. I have this eraser. Stampin' Up! Used to carry this. This is where I brought it from, like maybe 8 years ago. They don't carry them anymore, but you can find them on Amazon. They're called adhesive removers or something like that. Okay, and they just come this size and they're really gross, but they do the job. You can see I just erased that dimensional that I had stuck on there, and of course I've got it up here too, so I've got to erase it as well. So it's really easy to do it. Just gonna give it a little bit of muscle. And no one will ever know that we had anything on there except for you guys watching me. And then when it peels, you can just, it peels up, you can just peel it off and throw it in the garbage. And I've got this, I've had that, like I said, for like 7-8 years. All right, so we're going to make a fun fold card together. Everything has been die cut. So we're going to make a sympathy card today. I've got some Whisper White for stamping. Again, I'm using the Heal Your Heart stamp set, and that is free with a $50 order from a product order. And you can, it's a great deal. Even the paper is free with a $50 product order. So level 1 is a $50 product order, and you could get a stamp set, paper, and you'd be all set. All right, so there's our sentiment, sorry for your loss. So I'm gonna let that dry because we're gonna fussy cut that out. I used Night of Navy ink. It's the only time I've actually used it in the class today. All right, so lots of layers on this card as well. So this is our base. This is a Whisper White. Again, you would be using basic white, and it's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. The next layer is going to be Night of Navy, and this is cut 4 by 5 1/4, and I've already embossed it with a Tasteful Textures embossing folder. Let me show you that. I've got it off to the side here. I've had this in my craft room for quite a while. It's just a nice little subtle image there. So let's take our adhesive. And since this is embossed paper, I'm going to add the adhesive. Whoa. Whoa, that was super strong. This adhesive is so strong. I go too fast sometimes and I get carried away. All right, so there we go. With embossed paper, I always add the adhesive all the way around. All right, so this is going on the panel here. And it's equally distributed top, bottom, left, and right. Then we're going to work with this piece here. So I've got lots of panels too. I'm going to keep these together because I don't want to get those mixed up. So this is Whisper White. This is cut 3 1/8 by 8 1/2, and I've scored it at 4 1/4. And that's going to go right here. But first it's going to be easier to put these two together and then on here and then the card. So I use the Stitch So Sweetly dies. Let me bring those in one more time. The ones I used are the second and third. No, first and second. So the largest die is cut with Night of Navy, and then the second one is with Paper Blooms. Let me just put those right back on my magnetic sheet so I don't lose them. Okay, and then let's take our adhesive. Just 2 lines of adhesive will be fine. We're going to layer this right on top. I'm centering it amongst the stitch edging on the Native Navy. Then I'm going to look at this direction of the paper before I mount it onto the Whisper White just to see which direction I like. I'm going to put it this way because of those, and these flowers are going up. Again, we just need 2 lines of adhesive. And then this just gets centered, very easy card to do. Then we're going to add adhesive on all 4 sides of this one. And I'm going to put a little bit in the middle too, because this is the piece that's going to get used a lot to get opened. This is going to get centered right on the front of the card. You could also make this card going this way, or it's going to go this way. Okay, so then we're going to fussy cut. So take your snips and we're just going to kind of fussy cut around the sentiment. And I'm just going to cut that straight off and then start over around the edge. I'm just kind of turning the paper and cutting at the same time, and then all the way around. Okay, that's that. These go in the recycle bin. For this here, I'm going to use the mini dimensionals. Let's see where they are, right here. You could, if you don't have mini dimensionals, you can use your regular size dimensionals and just cut them in half. But we want to make sure that the dimensionals are not sticking outside of that paper. I'm going to use 3 of them. Again, they peel off the same way as the regular dimensionals. Okay, and then this is going to go here. Now, don't forget you're going to add a bow. So depending on how your pattern is working is where you're going to want to put this sentiment. So I kind of like it in the middle for this patterned paper. All right, then to create the bow, I'm going to use my 10-second bow maker. This is one I bought online. And these are the dowels. They get stored in that section there. And this is really nice because it's got those little foam things that don't scratch your table. My ribbon, here it is. So You need to figure out how much you need. I'm probably going to make it's easier to, let's see, this is about like 7-8 inches of ribbon. I'm going to cut it at an angle. Then I'm going to go wrap this around back, cross it over, left over right, tuck it underneath, grab it. So we have both ends now on this side, and then I'm just going to tie a knot and then tie it tight. And then it slides out. And there's a cute little bow. You can slide the knot over a little bit if it's not centered. We're going to trim off the tails once we get it on the card. Okay, so you need some glue dots. One will be fine. Just press that right onto the glue dot and then peel it off. I pinch it with my fingers. And now I'm going to just slide this right up here, kind of in the center. Give it a good press. And then I'm going to just finish off those tails. And it's going to be really short tails, so it's a really dainty bow. Okay, so that's the front. Now the inside of the card. We've got these two pieces. This is our sentiment label. I love this Stitch So Sweetly dies because you don't have to make your inside of the cards like use a normal 4x5 1/4. You can get away with die cutting. If you like to die cut, then that's a great way to save paper. And then this piece is going to get put right on here. I'm going to go with, I'm kind of just looking at the images underneath, just see what makes sense. And then just 2 lines of adhesive. This is really fun. I like this one. And then this just gets put right on the inside. So doesn't that look really nice? Okay, let's finish it off with some metallic pearls. I'm going to use the silver. Again, we're going to add 5 of them. So there's not really flowers like on this one. It's got lots of flowers, so we're just going to kind of scatter them wherever we want to, I guess. So I'm going to add 5. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, our final touch, of course, is that envelope. So again, I did not have any paper left that was that design, but I had this paper. And of course, I'm going to use this side for my envelope flap. Let me grab my silicone craft sheet, open up the flap, and then we're just going to run our adhesive along that score line of the envelope flap. And then run it right around the edge, and then a little bit in the middle. And then we're just going to line that right up against the fold line. Give it a really good press. And then we're going to trim it right around the flap. All right, so there is our final card for today, you guys. So here's this one. Okay, really sweet looking card. And here's this one with another scrap of the paper. So it all really nicely coordinates, or coordinates nicely, I guess, is what I wanted to say. So it's a cute sympathy card. So that was card number 4 we made. Let me just bring them all in. 1. Here is this one with the fun fold. And then this was card number 2 with the one that was popped up with the dimensionals. And on the inside, we used the frame. And then our first card, for you guys that came on late and may not have seen, this one here. And on the inside, I think this one has like 9 layers to it. So lots of fun cards you can use with paper blooms. And then if you want, let's see, I would just suggest if you wanted to see those Valentine's Day cards that I created along with the mini pizza box, you can go to my Facebook page. I did save the video, the live stream from last night. My Facebook page is called Inspired by Graham, and you can find me there. Like the page. Also, I will be doing individual videos for those Valentine's Day projects as well when my time allows. But today I'm going to be really focusing on my card club, getting that all ready to go and shipped on Monday, plus the Darling Donkeys class. So if you want to know about my classes, I would suggest that you go to my blog, which is inspiredbygraham.com. It's right here. A little pop-up will appear when you're on the site for like more than 5 seconds. If you fill that out, that gets automatically added to my constant contact email list, and I will, I don't spam a lot of people, like I don't send emails out every single day, maybe 1 or 2 a week. So you can learn more about my card club or my kit classes, or just for some inspiration, you can find me at inspiredbygraham.com. So I'm going to just take a look real quick before I sign off, just to see what, if anybody had any questions. No idea, I love those cards. Dollar Tree has them too. Let's see. Is there a color difference with basic white and whisper white? I don't know, Lee, but I have basic white in my drawer. I just actually have not had a chance to compare. So the label's a little different, but I can totally open this up and check for you. Again, you probably won't be able to see, but I can put them side by side. So that's the basic white and the whisper white. So let me just move these cards here and we can see. Oh, I think there is a little bit of a difference actually. I think that the basic white, for me, in my craft room with my lighting, this one looks brighter than the whisper white. So yes, I think there is a difference. Okay, so whisper white, basic white, and I see on the screen the laptop you guys have a shadow. But I can tell you that this one is brighter than the whisper white. So yes, there is a slight difference, but I'm not sure if there's a stamping difference, but I'll let you know. So that's that one, whisper white. Let's see, is there any other questions? They actually have adhesive erasers. Oh, at the Dollar Tree. Oh, I didn't see those the other day when I was there. Yeah, the bow jig is great. Yes, exactly. I can't make a bow for the life of me. So Meg Davies, she's a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Her husband makes those. That's where I purchased it, maybe like 6 or 7 years ago. I need a small bow jig. Have a large one. Okay, yep. So Kelly, it's where is it? It's called the 10-second bow maker. And if you Google that name, you're gonna Meg Davies is gonna come up, and that's where you can find them. I don't know what the price is. I purchased mine, like I said, maybe 7, 8 years ago. I like that the dowels kind of fit here, and you have the options to make a larger or smaller bow. And I store it just on my wall, and it's got those nice little felt padding on the bottom too, so it doesn't scratch your surface. But 10-second bow maker. All right, so that looks like all the questions that I had. Again, you can Find me at inspiredbygraham.com. Don't forget to go over to the Facebook page if you are on Facebook to see last night's live with all the Valentine cards. All right, you guys have a great night and take care. And hopefully this time I'll figure out how to stop the live feed because